What's going on, guys? I want to do a little reaction video to this YouTuber that I've been watching actually for a while now. He does house flipping here in Houston, and he actually helped me a lot throughout the process. I've watched literally every single one of his videos, but I just want to go through it and give it my 2 cents. His channel is Ground Up House Flipping. I already watched like 12 minutes of it, and I thought this was really good content, so I wanted to share with everyone. Currently, he's looking at a house in Kingwood. I think it's 4 bedroom, 3 bath, if I'm not mistaken, and it's about 3,200 square feet.
I'm looking at the market is if it's like if I just painted these cabinets, you're seeing a few houses like that, they're sitting, right? Because people come in and they're so big, they're over 3,000 square foot, and they're like, okay, you're marketing this thing, but now I got to put in 50, 100 grand. They don't want to do that, but if it is done right, they're selling like hotcakes. Problem is this doesn't have a pool. So the ones that are selling in the upper fives or even mid sixes around this area, they and some of them are even more square footage than this, have a pool. It's a home run. They will take the bathrooms not being remodeled if they got the pool. If you ain't got a pool, then the house has to be just out of this world. So if they're already wanting 400, I'm thinking a house of this size, and I'm not even.
Oh yeah, so let's break down the numbers, right? So the wholesalers ARV is 550, and they're offering, I think, high 300s to 400. This is the first thing I do when I have properties come to my desk. So first thing, you just want to work off of their ARV and their asking price, right? Just for rough numbers, because the numbers that they give you will never be accurate. So let's say it's worth 550. And to be a perfect deal, you want to do the 70% rule. You want to times it by zero point 0.7. And this property, I'm guessing, later in this video, he says it needs about like 70K. I'm thinking you need at least like 80 to 90K for the square footage. And on top of that, in the beginning of the video, he said that they needed the roof to be changed because it's like a 20-year roof. And older roofs, they won't get insured. So if he wants to sell this property fast, then he would have to change the roof. And the roof on a house this big isn't cheap. Like he said earlier, it's going to cost around 15 to 20 grand. So let's just calculate in 90 grand. Oh, shoot. For rehab, that means your maximum allowable offer is 295. And this is 100 grand off of their asking, and that's with the ARV that the wholesaler gives. Wholesalers usually never give the right ARVs, so this is your maximum allowable offer, 295. But for a property like this, I would offer a little bit more. So for something like this, I wouldn't offer more than like 340 or 330. The reason I would go a little bit higher, I would go up to probably 75% loan to value, um times 0.75 minus 90, right? 322. So honestly, for this deal, I wouldn't go above 325, right? Like plain and simple, 330 probably, but you're pushing it. Let's just see how much money you gotta come out of pocket. Let's say purchase price is 370, rehab is 90, and ARV is 550. So boom, you're coming out of pocket 90K, right? But if it's a 75% loan, 63K. That's why you need to stay at 32. This would be ideal because like you're only coming out 16K and 70% is what, 40? Yeah. That's pushing it, right? I would probably do 330. 330. I would do 330. Like this. I wouldn't mind coming out of pocket for this. This is very similar to the deal that I'm doing right now. My resale value is 550. My rehab is 75 and I'm purchasing it for 350 at a 75%, and mine's pretty similar. It's around 33, about $23,000. Profit wise, if purchase price, this is my profit from before, right? From the property that I'm doing right now. But for him, if he does it at 320 and rehab is 90, and what's the loan? 412, 500. Okay. So see, if you get it at 320, you profit about 60,000. But that's a bit high. I mean, a bit low. think 330 is more reasonable. I wouldn't go any higher than 330. Like that's the max I would do for this, right? Because if he's buying you for 370, there's no profit. You're cutting it thin. Yeah, there's a $9,000 profit for a $60,000 investment. Like that's super risky. Yeah.
Including the roof or the foundation work. My goal was to keep it within like $70,000, and that's just all new paint. Like this whole upstairs, it just needs the 2 bathrooms, and then just paint the whole thing and carpet. Carpet, that stuff's all cheap. New base trim, you know, a couple $1,000. Even these doors and stuff, these are actually really nice, solid doors. Perfect, paint them. The trim up here, this room actually has new like skip trowel texture. It's really nice. Just need to retexture the wall here. I would even think about putting like a cheap little like a almost projector screen there, just to make it look, you know, pop. Regardless, what's going to kill. And so I think this thing sells. They have an ARV of 555. I don't know if this would appraise at that. So again, you have to realize when you're doing hard money out of pocket, you can say whatever the ARV is until you're blue in the face, but it's an actual appraisal value. So they may come in at 525 or something like that, you know, and then
one thing you got to realize with flipping is you can never sell a house more than it's worth. It doesn't matter if you think it's worth 550, if you think it's worth 600. Once the appraisal comes in, and the mortgage company or the lender is going to go based off of the appraisal, right? They don't care what you think. They don't care the comps that you've ran. They don't care about your CMAs. They don't care about none of that. If the appraisal comes in and they look at your property and they evaluate it at 520, then you can't sell it for more than 520. And so what happens is, like, yeah, some people will buy over asking or buy over, and I think what they can do is they can just ignore it, right? They're like, well, I really want this house and it's very competitive. I'm willing to pay more for it. And right, that's how they override the appraisal. But most of the time, if your property comes below appraised value, the buyers typically is going to back out, or they're going to ask for concessions or something like that, right? So it's very important to run your numbers beforehand, run your numbers through and through, because that's going to come back and to bite your ass after. You know, like I've had a property right as we were getting to the closing table, they were doing appraisals and all that, and it came back like 20K lower, right? And so the buyer asked for us to give them concessions or something, right? You can negotiate that, but it's a pain in the ass that you got to deal with. So you got to make sure your numbers are right. That's why you should never go off of these wholesalers' numbers.
You got to come out of pocket to cover that. I've done a lot of videos on this, so I'm trying to come out of pocket as minimal as possible. So I already know that if I'm going to move on something like this with the roof and the foundation, I'm going to have to be closer to 300. I don't know if they'll do it. I don't, you know, they probably might laugh at me, but with no pool, you've got to knock this thing out and you got to do it right. And that kitchen, you know, all the flooring downstairs, I think it's going to add up pretty quickly. But my big worry is, again, even if you knock this thing out, I would even paint the front. I think I gotta make it really, really stand out. Try and get multiple, you know, bids in there, offers, and then price it pretty aggressively so it doesn't sit. And those are all the things that are going through my mind, you know, as doing this for a year now. At the end of the day, this is from a wholesaler. My goal is to try and find my own deals like this, because who knows what they got this thing at, you know? But that's what I need to figure out. And I'm starting to talk to more and more local realtors, try and get deals from them, that kind of stuff. So you got to work with wholesalers, but you never know how much they're charging. So I'm going to make a couple phone calls. I'll record that as well. All right, so I'm done.
Yeah, the thing with deals like this, it's incredibly hard to get it where you need it to be, right? Like they're at 400, he needs to get a 300, and it's you know, you're 100K off, right? Even if you can negotiate down 50K, that's already huge, right? I don't know how much the wholesaler is making on this, right? They could be making 10 grand. If they're making 10 grand, this wholesaler is trash, right? Because why would you lock this deal up at 380 grand when it's not even worth 550? Or this wholesaler could just be trying to milk everybody and have it at, you know, 300 grand or 320 or 330, and they're trying to milk 60K off of this one wholesale deal. If that's the case, then that's just fucked up, because you're not going to sell this property at whatever price they're trying to sell it at.
Touring it, I don't think there's a tire kicker in there, but I don't think anybody else showed up. So basically, I think it's mine.
Yeah, the reason no one showed up is because they seen the numbers on Facebook and they realize, oh shit, this property is 550 and you're asking 400. They just skimmed through the pictures, ran some quick numbers off the top of their heads. They've realized that this property is not going to be a deal because you need $100,000 off in order to make this deal work. That's why it's very important to not waste your time and not waste your contractor's time. Just run the numbers real quick. Right, whatever numbers they give you, okay, just run that, right? And if that's within the ballpark, like a 10-20K ballpark, okay, that's something you can negotiate. And then that's when you either put in an offer for an option period if it's on market, or you just go see it and then try to negotiate the price, right? But once you've been doing flips for a while, you'll know like roughly how much, you know, each rehab needs and how much it's going to cost for certain things, right? And most rehabs, if you're doing full cosmetic, new floors, new fixtures, new paint, new doors, new windows, foundation, cabinets, countertops, right? If you're doing like everything, like bathroom renovations, floor tiles, I don't know if I said that, and appliances, for most houses between like 1,500 to 2,500 square feet, you're looking at about $60,000 to $70,000 in rehab, like minimum, right? It's gonna need that, and that's just the base number. Those are just facts, right? You can't alter that. Like, yeah, maybe if you have like a really good contractor, if you're super experienced and you subcontract everything out, then maybe you could do it for cheaper, right? Probably like 5 to 10 grand cheaper. But if you're not super experienced like him and I've been doing this for like 2.5 years. He's been doing it for like 1.5 years. You're not really experienced like that, like in depth into it. So you're still using a contractor and whatever supplies they're using. It's gonna be around 60 to 70K. And on a bigger house like this one, like over 3,000 square feet, you're gonna be looking at least 80 grand.
If I wanted it, they're at 379, and he just said they can't move on the price. They're going to keep it there because if they don't get that, they're just going to list it. So I think they could probably list it, you know, and get in that upper threes, maybe low fours in the condition it's in. I don't, maybe, but I also think they might move on it, that price a little bit. So I need to figure out the foundation and all that. I'm just nervous a little bit about no pool and trying to get that 550. In fact, let's go through it. I'll do all the math too on this with the calculators and stuff.
Pool is typically at about 15 to 20K, give or take. So you already know if you're running the comps off of this area at 550 without a pool, then you got to run it off of 530, right? You can't run it off of more than 530. It could be less, it could be more, but it's always better to be more conservative because that's only going to help you in the long run. And you don't want to do a deal that you're not super confident in.
Let's say you could sell it for 550. I don't think you could. Well, if I paint the outside and make this thing baller as can be inside, then yeah, I think you could probably get in that 550 range. It's looking more like 525-ish. So let's go off of that number. 525,000 times 0.75. I'm looking for a 75% deal.
Yeah, he's doing
that equals 393. And then you look at a $70,000 budget, you need to be at 323,750. Now I need to see. I don't think you can stay within 70. I just don't like, and what I meant was the roof too, because I just think you might get some serious flack on the roof. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try and call him. Hey, Mike, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. Just leaving this property here.
Yeah, so you know he did the same numbers and the same calculations I did, and that's just the formula, right? 70% loan to value or 75% loan to value, because that's how much the lender, hard money lender, is willing to lend you. So if the lender is giving you 70 grand minus the ARV, that's how much you should be able to pay for a property max, right? And you could go up to 75%, but you want to stay between 70 and 75%. That's the sweet spot. Like nowadays, especially in the Houston market, it's incredibly hard to get deals like that unless you're outsourcing it yourself or you have somebody on your team. But from wholesalers or on market, maybe on market you can negotiate down, but like from wholesalers, it's usually incredibly hard. They're between like 75 and 80%. So that's why I don't even bother working with wholesalers no more. Like I have a couple good ones that'll send me deals here and there, but that's about it. All right, well, that's it for this video. I just want to analyze some numbers, some of his videos. I thought it was really interesting. You guys should go check him out. His channel is amazing. He teaches everything about house flipping from the beginning, right? From last year, like a long time. He goes through all the steps and all his wins, all his losses. Right, so this guy's he's not like a guru or anything. He doesn't sell a course, but makes really good content. I've been following him for a while, so I really like this channel. So I just wanted to analyze this deal because I thought it was super interesting. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.